welcome to another episode of Taboo Marketing, a video blog that exposes the whole truth about marketing. My name is Delia, and today, as you can tell, we have a little bit of a different format today. I don't have my sister with me, the usual partner in crime. And today I have with me, I'm doing this collaboration video with my good friend, Eric Valdez from LA, and that actually recently opened an agency in LA called Hope and Grant. And Eric, say hi, maybe talk a little bit about your agency, and then I'm going to introduce the topic for today.
Yeah, thank you, Delia, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Yes, we are officially open for business starting recently, earlier this summer. And basically what Hope and Grant is we're a full-service creative agency. What I like to tell people is think of us as your marketing department. Basically, we focus on your customers so you can focus on your business. And the way we do that is we leverage our big agency experience, working with Fortune 500 companies and using those trade secrets that we've developed over the years to help small to medium-sized businesses and startups. Mostly we focus on clients that are in the law, finance, and real estate industries. And yeah, so I'm excited to be here with you today and looking forward to a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining me. This is exciting. You're the first one to be doing a collaboration video in this interview style. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to discuss a topic that I think is overly written about on the internet, how to develop a new brand or rebrand for a company. But the conversation that we're going to focus on today specifically is not necessarily how to select the right brand agency, but more so how to manage the project internally within a company. I find it to be sort of typically the tale of two ends. Companies tend to make the project really inclusive and try to create these voting systems or create this committee of 10 people that vote on things that I find necessarily doesn't work as well, because it's hard to create that unity when people's tastes vary so differently and so drastically. So I'm trying to understand and hoping to get an insight from you today, how do you help companies manage the right persona, the right look and feel for the company, but yet make everyone in the company included in that project, in that persona definition?
I would say it's definitely possible to make everyone feel included. And I think the best way to do that is to make it as collaborative of a project with the client as possible. You're gonna wanna get to know who they are, what their wants and needs are, and any current obstacles they're facing. And then only then do you actually come up with a plan and how to move forward.
Awesome, thank you. So walk me through the typical process that you take on when you bring in a new client. Usually, obviously, you go through the strategy, finding out what the roadmap and what the vision for the company is. Then I think comes the name selection. And then I think the last part is usually the visual logo, visual definition, the colors, and sort of maybe developing that brand persona. Is this the right flow, or does it sometimes vary company to company?
First, when it comes to getting to know the client and their business as much as possible, you're going to want to ask, what is it that they actually do? What is it, a product? Is it a service? And what is the main problem that you're solving for? Why do they exist at all? And who are their competitors, and what sets them apart from their competition, right? What I like to do personally is I love to ask them, to describe the product or service within 5 words or less. And that way you kind of get a general idea of who they are, right? And then once you kind of figure out the business side of who they are, you move on to the actual project itself. In the project, you're going to have deliverables, and you want to find out what those deliverables are. And so once you figure out the business side of things and then the project itself, you want to move on and to get to know their customers. Have them describe their ideal customer, for instance. Do they have a customer persona? And if not, you can obviously help develop that for them. What is the main message they're trying to convey to their customer? And again, I like the whole adjective tactic in terms of having them describe their ideal customer in 5 words or less. And also, what kind of market research do they have that they can share with you? What kind of insights, what kind of demographics do they have that they can share with you? And then last, you want to actually, so the last step is actually developing the brand itself, right? Um, and here you want to figure out what the actual purpose of the exercise is, right? What is the client's end goals? What are they trying to do with their product or service? If they have an existing brand already, why isn't it working? What do they feel like they need help with? And also have, and ask if they have specific guidelines with their brand. For instance, is there any do's or don'ts? Like, for example, is there any colors that they don't like? That way, you're not wasting any time, working on explorations that they're not going to like from the get-go, right?
I really like the approach you're taking with 5 words or less. I feel like, again, because there is a lot of decision makers, usually the bigger the company is, the more decision makers and the more there are cooks in the kitchen. And I feel like the vision and the strategy can become a little blurry with many, many people involved. So I feel like when you try to narrow people down into like 5 words or less, they start being a lot more focused and I guess strategic with how they describe the company.
Exactly.
And speaking of the decision makers and like many cooks in the kitchen, obviously we all know, and kind of going back to my original discussion and the point of today's topic, every person usually associates something. They have this like preconceived notion when they associate something with a particular color or a particular look and feel. How do you minimize that?
Although it's impossible to please everyone, when you go through the steps of figuring out who they are, what they're trying to do, who their client is, and what their goals are, then you have a better, then you're armed, I would say, to execute and move forward and have the confidence as the agency to lead that direction. So, it's going to take some hand-holding on your part, and it's going to take a lot of, I would say, education. A lot of times the client doesn't have a marketing background, or they don't have an internal marketing team. So it's up to you to provide the expertise and to kind of lay the foundation of why branding is important, and also bring your expertise to the table and say, hey, I've worked with these clients and I have these case studies and this is what we did to move forward. Because again, that's why they're hiring you. You're the professional, and they're going to rely on you to make those decisions for them. But once you do the initial research with them and do it all in a collaborative sense, they should have a better sense of kind of feeling like they've been heard, and that you've taken their considerations into account.
Right. And I find that obviously like every company usually has like a visionary, their founder or the CEO who has that vision, that direction where they know what the company is about and they really know where the company's headed, or at least they have an idea. And it's also common that they're the ones that will end up being the ultimate decision maker when it comes to picking the final name and look and feel and the color, because they're the ones who are really associating that look and feel and that persona with their vision for the company. But the reality sometimes is, again, that founder or CEO, they don't have a communication background. They don't have maybe the best visual skills or the best like visual eye for things. So they might not be able to select the best choice for the company that is going to be really well perceived by the target audience. Or should they even care if the target audience likes it or not? Like if you're the visionary, like if you're the Steve Jobs and you have your vision, should you just stick with it? So when you work with companies, do you prefer working with like the original visionary who really has his or her heart in the company? Or do you prefer working with marketing people who have communication background, more maybe visual skills, better like eye for visual? Like what do you prefer? What do you find works best?
That's a really good question. That's a tough one. It definitely is going to depend on who's going to be involved in the project and who the decision makers are, right? For instance, the original founder and CEO and visionary might not be involved in the branding process at all, because they might just be busy with dealing with the business side of things. So more than often than not, you're going to be dealing with a co-founder or a partner, or even the head of their internal marketing team. So I guess it definitely depends on a project to project basis. But regardless, as a professional, you have to be able to adjust and be able to go and work with whomever they decide to, partner you with. But again, like more than likely, it's going to be a co-founder or a head of their internal marketing team. But again, just like you said, they might not have an internal marketing team or any branding or design or marketing experience. So it's important to, again, work with the decision maker, and if they don't have any experience, that you educate them and hold their hand and get to the point where they trust you and your decision making, so that you are the decision making maker for them. They're really relying on you to be the taste maker and the one to figure out what their brand looks like, what the colors are, what the imagery is going to be, and if they don't have a logo, what the logo is going to be. So yeah, I would say, long story short, it's going to depend on a project basis, but as an agency, it's your job to kind of adjust and work with whom is available and who they're going to partner you up with.
Another question that I want to ask, and you touched on it a little bit, like we talked about the internal marketing team, or maybe the company doesn't have an internal marketing team, but what if the company has a fairly robust marketing team and they even have a creative department that probably already has ideas of what the brand should be? They might already like maybe drafting a logo, because they have a team of people. Like, do you find that it's a collaborative effort, or sometimes maybe a bit of a conflicting situation where you have your own visual people, your own creative directors who are the company? Do you find it like sometimes to be challenging, or more like it's an opportunity to create an even better brand?
It can definitely be challenging, but the way I look at it is, if they have an internal marketing team, you're going to want to collaborate with them as much as possible. Not only is it the smart thing to do, it's going to make your life a lot easier to have them on board with your direction, and then have them on your side when it comes to making decisions, because ultimately they'll be taking over the brand and the marketing collateral once your job is done, if they only hire you to do just the brand identity itself. But for the most part, I would say it's good to have different views, different perspectives when it comes to branding. But it's going to be definitely important to set the tone that the agency is the final decision maker in terms of the branding and figuring out the marketing, and that you guys are going to be the ultimate. You guys are going to be the ones leading the conversation in the final direction. So as long as they know that you are there to help them, and that you're there to listen to them as well, I think it's going to definitely make your life a lot easier to collaborate with them and to listen to them, because it ultimately might end up becoming a stronger brand because of them. And obviously, no one probably knows their business and product or service than the people who are working at the company itself.
I think it also drastically depends on like the type of personality of the ultimate decision maker from the company. Like, for example, knowing myself, I feel like I would give the agency a lot of direction, because like I would already want them to know what my vision is, because I always know what I already want. But some people might kind of come with like a total blank mind and leave it all up to you. So I think you just have to figure out from the get-go what the type of personality you're dealing with too.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on like having that emotional intelligence to deal with different type of people and figure out what makes them tick, and because that's ultimately what's going to drive you through. I feel like interpersonal and business relationships in life in general is figure out who you're dealing with and what drives them and what makes them tick, and then using that to your advantage to create something special.
Yeah, no, I always say having high IQ is just half the battle, if not less. It's all about emotional intelligence anywhere in life. Well, thank you so much, Eric. This was really, really fun. I'm glad you were my first collaborative person that I'm interviewing. This was really fun. I hope our viewers, like I definitely found the discussion really engaging and interesting. I do honestly believe that finding the right agency is really important, but it's also as equally important to be able to manage the project internally and select like the right key stakeholders and sort of like manage the process internally is equally important. And I'd like to ask the viewers as well, like, do you guys, have you ever gone through a rebranding or brand development project? Maybe you can share your stories with us as well, like what challenges you came across and what ways have you found to deal with them. So thank you so much, Eric. It was great having you. As always, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channels for more insightful videos, and hope everyone's doing well. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, and we'll see you in our next episode. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.